Okay, so the criteria is going to be how much fun did I have playing the game, and it's going to be mainly focused on the hard difficulty. Also, don't make me say it. Anyway, embodiment of Scarlet Devil. This placement is the final. And also, the game's actually pretty great. See, when I first played it and I beat it on hard, I had thoughts of being a contrarian, like, oh, I'm gonna totally pwn. I'm gonna have the awesome opinion. That embodiment of Scarlet Devil, that's old school. That shit, it don't live up to the hype nowadays, bro. But you know what? I used to think like that. Because you know what? After I beat the game on hard, I think that's when it really came into its own. Both commercially and financially. See, my worry stemmed from on normal. It seemed like there was just like a bunch of Danmaku without any rhyme or reason. And it was kind of lame. Like I thought Zoom was just kind of getting his foothold on the series. But turns out hard not. Like the game's a thing. An actual functioning thing. I just didn't see it. My mind couldn't comprehend it at the time. It all makes sense now. And I'm super glad because that makes this a great Touhou game to come back to when you don't want to deal with the bullshit of modern life anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm totally on board with like where the series is going. Or, you know, with things getting wacky, you know, Touhou 18. It's
other werewolf.
But sometimes you just want some solid, strong Touhou fundamentals. And EOSD is here to provide. There's no extra mechanics to worry about when you're playing. There's a very simple shot types and all around a very good palette cleanser, I'd say. It also holds up well on its own right. Also, luckily, and like, of course, there's the issue if you can't really see your hurt box. But after you play for a while, that isn't really a problem anymore. Luckily, like you don't really even notice it. You get maybe one stupid death out of it the whole game, but you can deal with it. It's like, you know, when you learn in typing in school and you don't need to look at the keyboard anymore. Like you look at the monitor, stupid, you're fine. You know, except for like, when I like accidentally like miss the apostrophe sometimes, but you know, shit happens. Extra stage is pretty good too. Now, I'll get this out of the way while I'm here. I'm not a big extra stage guy. Frankly, most of the time, I feel that the main game mechanics don't always flesh well into the extra stage. You know, it doesn't really combine. It just is being like, I just want to fight the final boss. Just let me get there already. So for those, they're going to be a one and done for me unless like the boss is really good, like Koishi, for example, from Subterranean Animism. That doesn't happen too often. Of course, obviously, I will suffer for Koishi, as should you. Back to the game we're actually talking about. Yeah, the Flandre's fine. I actually remember her name. And of course, elephant in the room. The game oozes with the word iconic. Like that, everything in this game just is. And you know, that's great. Music's like actually surprisingly good too. Like you can tell when you're listening to an EOSD track, and you can tell when you're listening to an 18 track, but or 16. But you know, it's got the spice. It's got the secret sauce. You know. Going forward, I'm not gonna touch too much on that stuff unless it like really stands out, because I kind of don't give a shit. Like I said before, I'm just kind of here to play the game. If I'm being honest, it's kind of a bummer when I'm focused up and I'm dodging shit, I kind of tune out everything else, like the music. I have to like go listen back to tracks because I barely even heard them the first time. But I will give points where it goes above and beyond, which happens here a lot because, you know, going to Sakya and then her theme kicks in. It's pretty awesome. You know, I'll give like some brownie points for that. Speaking of Sakya, we are now going to be ranking all the 5th stage bosses in the entire game. So I like the coolest one, so we have to do this. Damn it, I can't believe in the script I wrote insert reason here. Sakya good. God damn it. Okay, yeah, okay, so she's good because a lot of Sakya bosses, unlike for fan games, they mess up because they make her too fast. The point is that she stops time, and then you are stopped time. You see her stop time. You can't skip it because the point is that you see where the knives are, and then you know the trajectories, and then you memorize everything real quick, and then they come at you, and then it's fun. You can't go faster. That defeats the whole point of what makes it like engaging in the first place. Listen, even though Night of Nights is like a super fast song, Sakya as a boss fight, as a concept, as a figure, as a pillar, is meant to be slow. Okay, hey, the knives can go kind of fast when time starts moving again, but you better give me that good old, like, second and a half for the time stop, alright? Okay, wrapping everything up. EOSD is good. Oh. Great. People like it for a reason, and I will fight back against the slander for that. Is reserved for Touhou 13. EOSD gets a solid A tier. Now moving on to Perfect Cherry Blossom. Yeah, it's good. I'm gonna be real, I dropped like 2 paragraphs for EOSD. But I'm having a harder time with BCB. I mean, it was cool how Zune chose not to have like a stage 1 boss at all. He just completely omitted it, which was an interesting choice. It ends up not really affecting the game too much. Like he just moved right on to stage 2. I mean, we get Chen faster, I guess, you know, unique. But actually, speaking of stage 2 shit, the stage 2's theme, that's like the best one in the whole series, right? Like, That shit soothes hard. Okay, back on track. It's not like the game's starved for awesome bosses. Like a Prism River Sisters, for example, are iconic. And then Yomu standing out, especially as having engaging gameplay. The main mechanic of the game is pretty awesome too, just because it's a perfect learning tool for new people to learn the game. And it's also good for people like me who just want more casual time after getting them, like my ass whooped in maybe like subterranean animism, for example.
You're all going to hell.
Okay, also clarify, the reason the shield is good for learning is because when you get it, it takes away the scariness of having to move through these dense bullet patterns. Like, you can do it without fear because, you know, if you get hit, it's not the end of the world. You're not gonna and when you do that enough, you know, you're learning. You are going through the bullets because you don't have to run into one immediately. So that's gonna give you hopefully the courage to replicate that behavior when you don't have the shield. Double good news is that you can't really abuse it either because it doesn't come out all the time, right? It's like not the rarest thing in the world, but you certainly can't get it in 24/7. So you're not going to depend on it, thank God, because that could be really bad. But don't get me wrong, you go to the end of the game, and then it's the cherry tree, because cherry, it's the game, and then you get the shield a lot, and then like the hype music's coming in. They did the anime thing where they both said the same line at the same time, and it goes hard. And oh my God, Yukiko's such a good fight too, and it's so hype, and you go into the tree, it's like, and you get the shield after shield, and then when he dies, she's like,
I'm not finished.
Not to mention the fact that she's so fucking hot. Also, I'm gonna bring this back to Yomu, because I gotta say what we're all thinking, right? In terms of gameplay, she's just a better Sakuya. Right? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Her patterns get more intricate faster, so it's more engaging. And the slowdown, see, it's so similar, but the slowdown's good because you can still get like cool Matrix hype moments while having the learning experience. It just adds another layer to it. It doesn't like cut it off. It's just better. You know, I'm hyping Yomu up so much. Actually, if we're being real, if we're being double real, Yomu's probably the best 5th stage boss in the whole series, right? Let's be honest. Only complaints I could rise is that I think the extra stage is just kind of okay. No, it's fine. I mean, that's gonna be a common complaint, but throw it out there. Also, the game's like long as shit, so it's kind of like running a triathlon. Things like the longest in the series. But if we're being honest, we're throwing all that away. This is like what a high A3 game. Get the font rate. It's font rate. Later on, I might even go back and put this in low S. But where the competition is gonna get a bit stiff. Speaking of Imperishable Night. Oh, just kidding. Why is Mercer's shot type so shit in this game? Like, it's quite literally a wet noodle. It does not. You are lucky as shit that Yukari picks up the slack. Because if she didn't, because. Oh yeah, the Bible's pretty good. And I need to say this immediately. I've never heard a man violate a piano like that. Holy shit. Also, I have a confession. I still don't know how the hell these game mechanics work, dude. Like, there's the bar at the bottom, and I know if you go between your partners, it's gonna fill up one way or another. But sometimes it fills up, like, all the way for one reason. And then, like, depending on what shot you're doing, you get points for the final spell card faster. But then, like, there's also, well, yeah, the different bullet pattern. I mean, aside from that, the bosses, they have cool stuff going on. Like, in Mischief, or you have to figure out what the pattern is so you know where the bullets are coming without even being able to see it. So you have to, like, analyze it in your head. That's fun. Or take Kian, who just has some, like, radical, symmetrical, lyrical, spiritual, rhythmical. Versus also just hard as shit, but in a good way, because obviously. The good news is that she hasn't been fully corrupted by lasers yet. You know, her Mercer's lasers are done right back in my day, by the way. So you just gotta make that clear. He hasn't been fully corrupted by lasers yet, so it's always fun to navigate through the mazes of Dondamaku. I'm gonna lick the bunny's feet later, and the final bosses, you do get the penultimate question of if you want the best track in the game or if you want to look at this. I mean, either way, you still get the hype as shit final attacks thing that I've never beaten, and I don't know if you can. Like, what the hell? Like, is that canon? Does the princess lady literally just kick the shit out of you for like 12 hours straight? And then you don't talk about it again? That's funny. If I had to bring up negatives, it is a bit of a bummer how the first 4 stages are the exact same thing. I mean, you're lucky I don't care, plus the later stages are cool. You go to like space.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by
humanity. The extra stage is good too, except for the part when I got cancer. Hoofside bitch, we got the real fucker in town. It's so good. 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 It is so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's S tier. Obviously. I mean, but I just had to like make sure, you know, don't worry, we're not causing a panic. It's S tier. We all know this. Like the secret sauce, it's everywhere. It's not even secret anymore. But you know what? Wait, it'll still taste good. I'll tell you what. Touhou 9. Okay, so the game is meant to be played multiplayer. That's the whole point. But the problem is that I looked and tried to look it up a bit, and apparently if you have to like sacrifice your soul in order to do it, so I'm kind of 50-50 on that. You might mention the single player. I wouldn't. D tier. I might move it to D tier later. I'm feeling devious. You thought I was just gonna be dick riding this whole time. Nah, I'm feeling kind of different today. Speaking. How about you mosey on over there, bud? How about you get right on there? It's the first one I played. That's how the brain works. Those my Touhou baby steps. If your first game's always gonna be S tier, it's how it works. I mean, I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, but the bombs. Oh, but the bombs. They look so lame. How about you check your mailbox? Sing the song. Wait, but is it actually better than 8? Oh, I just gotta throw this in here. What's her name? Green Reimu? I forget. Oh yeah, she's like, okay, she's fine. She's actually pretty good. But you know, stiff competition. Also, this probably doesn't deserve to be here. Yeah, competition is getting stiffer than I would have thought too, so, sorry, bro. Hi, B tier. Hi, B tier. Hi, B tier. Now, you might be wondering, hey, Chad, why didn't you give, any, like, actual reasons for Mountain of Faith's placement? You must be new to the channel. Around this part of the video is when we start getting a bit loopy. Subterranean animism. It's just the best raw gameplay in the series. It is. It just is. It's like, even the stages themselves feel like bosses. Like the end of stage 3 or stage 4 in its entirety. But it doesn't, but it feels good because it's really well designed. It feels fair, and it's like, it's him. He's him. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT. Also, stage 5 is just peak fiction too. So what do you want me to say? Okay, is there only one shot type in the game? Yes. But it's a good thing Zune did a good job with it, because if he didn't, this whole game would have been shit! But it is. The bosses are powerful, but Reimu A packs a real punch, and you know you can stand a chance because you're strong. So it's fine. Speaking of, got a quality lineup of bosses here, especially the for a 5th stage boss. It's also just awesome, and I especially like it because there's a lot of different strategies you can go about how you want to attack her. Because of course you can just bum rush her because she's gonna spawn a bunch of shitheads as she does. So you can choose to do that, or you can just pussyfoot around and try to find your openings here and there, or do a bit of both. And that's like, that doesn't happen all the time with spoke runs, but you really can just mix and match and kind of like freestyle. So you know that's also literally just injects hype right into your veins. So there's a good shout out. And what's cool is that even with all that being said, the game isn't that hard. You know, it's a bit overhyped. And like, even if you make a couple of mistakes, the game does give you a good amount of resources to power through. So even though you are going to be on your toes throughout essentially the whole game, you can make it through. Hell, even with the extra stage, Koishi's just one of the best ones, period. Like, she's not one of the extra stage bosses where you have to, like, really memorize her attacks down to the T too much. If you have, like, a really strong Touhou fundamentals, you can just kind of waltz in and have a good old time with her. Now, she even makes it worth it to slog through that boring-ass extra stage, so, hey, props. But, hey, back to the main game. It's funny how you do have to, like, make an entire war roadmap plan to beat your first hard 1cc, but when you do it, the hype's unparalleled. You feel great. It's why it's S tier. What? Ever since the bird, he and Zune got a little too happy with his laser attacks. Like, he liked him a bit too much. He really threw him in there. And since this day, the whole franchise has been crushed. UFO game. Oh my god. I hate how the game mechanics, they're not really glitchy. They work. They work as intended. If you learn how they do, then you know what they're gonna do. Just break it down to a science. It's fine, just learn it. But bro, why is it every time I want a sliver of a piece of a chicken strip, I have to come up with the cure to cancer flawlessly every time, and then when I finally get it, guess how? Also, I'm gonna be real, I had totally died on the last spell card. I was close, but like, you know what, and I know I can beat the game, but honestly, if you think I'm playing through UFO game on hard over again, what you can do is that you can suck my left nut in Minecraft. See tier. You see, I could explain why this game's mechanic is the most unrewarding, annoying piece of I've ever had to deal with. But it's fine, because I legit don't care enough to explain it. At least with the UFO game, I am technically, like, on a, if we're talking definitions, I am engaged. With 10 desires, I am bored out of my mind! D tier. Like, the ghost necrophiliac fight is fun, I'll admit. And the final boss is really good too, but I have to play the whole game to get there! Okay, double dealing character, actually pretty good. And you know what? I think I've heard from someone before that double dealing character was like kind of basic in a lot of ways. I'd have to disagree a lot. DDC has a lot of funny shit going around. One thing I have to clear up right off the bat, it can't just be me. Some of the bosses in this damn game that have like some of the hardest attacks in the whole goddamn series. I know I've said that a lot, like the whole series in this video. I mean it this time. What the hell were Zune, dude? Okay, maybe it was because of the fact that the entire game is begging you to cheese it, but you know, that is to say, there's two people in this world. People who've gotten used to Sage's attacks and liars. And going back to the cheesing part, whenever you play DDC, it's like a test of the human willpower to see if you, like, you can decide if you want to win the run or not when you press start, okay? Even on, like, you can do it, but do you want to, like, reduce the challenge to absolutely zero? You know, it's a very interesting little test he puts out there. Like, when I start pressing the X button and start playing DDC correctly, I feel so dirty inside. Like, my soul is finally tainted for once in my life. I can't let it go, but that's what Zune wants you to do, because like double dealing character is a great game to play while you contemplate your life choices. It is funny how you think you'd actually do a lot of thinking with how the mechanics work and with how you gotta set up the bullets, set up the enemies so you get right, and then you can get the life pieces at the exact moment. Nah, but you reach enlightenment and you realize, no, you just like spam the X button. Did you see me beat that? You did. I had to show off that off because holy shit, how much did I practice that? And then I just play this game to beat on hard on some random run and then like actually absolutely nail that bitch. So hey, I'm baller. We're not gonna talk about how I completely threw the run away like 10 seconds later, but I did do this. Oh, and what's that? Oh yeah, this game has the best final boss theme in the entire series. For that, you get high B tier and also perfect cherry blossom. I'm just starting to realize that you better watch the fuck out. I don't really like this game. It's not because I didn't beat on hard or even normal for that matter. That's not the point. Me? Like fast. Game no fast. In 15, you've got two options to get resources. Either you slow down and you graze a shit ton, or you play like Jesus Christ himself. I am neither of those things. I'm no clown, please. And Sage must have pulled a funny prank here because, like, I actually love the extra stage and probably like it more than the main game itself, honestly. Like, every single attack is curated really well where you can, like, squeeze a resource out of almost every single one. And because it's like, you know, we're not worrying about different difficulties, Zune can really fine craft it. And he did. I appreciate that. He somehow managed to balance the perfect amount of difficulty just in this little capsule here. And even though you have to wait sometimes a little bit to get some resources done, it's still one long extra stage, so you don't feel the effects bad because you're just gonna finish it up. It's only one stage. And actually, you know what? I kind of forgot, but if you just count point device mode instead of the regular torture, then that basically fixes all the problems, right? I think this game was meant to be played in point device, if I'm being honest. Yeah. That way you can sit down in your cozy little shed and you can figure out the perfect plan to fend off the fucking moon clowns that are invading your house and home. Also, shoutouts to Junko for having only one thing on her mind at all times. What's Gibby thinking about? We stan a queen who knows what she wants, period. But you know that with all that being said, PCB, you can sit the fuck. Okay, so the word mid gets thrown around a lot. I have to hear some spit from my monitor. But yeah, the word mid, it gets thrown around a lot for like no reason in particular. And I think it's important that we specify that mid doesn't necessarily mean bad, right? It just means okay. And that's okay, right? So anyway, it's like, when you first played Touhou 16 and you beat it and you're gonna feel like you just took like a giant bite out of a nothing burger, right? When you play Touhou 16, that's the first what you're gonna feel. And you're gonna sit there. That's great. But then it's a redemption time because when you go back, right, you're gonna go back and you beat it on hard. So you have to learn the intricacies of the game, like when to use your summer power, and when in the stages multiple enemies pop up, you learn the perfect times, and you learn like in which loadout is right for you, which one you prefer. Because there's 16 of them, it takes a while to like really get a feel for what you actually enjoy in the game. But when you do get there and you start learning and you're winning, and all of a sudden everything starts to click. Like learning in spell cards where you can use your power instead of a bomb to get a cheeky get off, and then you win. Woo! And then after all of this, it sinks in. You beat it on hard. You sit back and you realize it's half as good as Mountain of Faith. Low B tier. Touhou 17. Now I don't know if it's just me, but if someone walked in on me and saw me playing Touhou 17, I'd alt tab to Fuda porn because it'd be easier to explain. Because if you just want to play for funsies and just wackiness, why not play like Touhou 18? It's not here. We're gonna use Violet Detector instead. Because you're certainly not playing Touhou 17 for the challenge. Like, unless for some miracle you realized through actually not collecting the animals, the bullet patterns in Danmaku are actually God's gift to like Gensokyo in general. In which case, we don't have to worry about that because that question will never be answered. Nevertheless, you might be thinking, hey Chad, are we just gonna gloss over that first line? And to that I'd say, no, I'm not a furry, I'm a scaly. We've been over this. And you might be wondering why I brought that up. And I'd be saying, low A tier. This game's actually just dumb fun. And you know, actually, something funny that I like to do is that when I play Touhou 17, I like to pretend that I'm playing Touhou UFO game because I love some of the content and the ideas that this game had. But if I play it, then the turbo cancer it originally gave me starts to develop faster, so I can only do it for so long. Okay, so with Touhou 18, you know, with Touhou 17, he was just kind of like seeing how far he could go with the wackiness. And in Touhou 18, he just fully sent it, right? And so we've reached the point of no return. Games are never going to be like they were before with the rest of this tier list. And I think that's fine. You know, the traditional resource and risk management of the earlier games, those are just kind of gone now. But you know what? For his first try in a full send-off goofy mode, like he kind of nailed it, which is surprising. See, I lend that a lot to the fact that 18 feels like the biggest game out of all these because it kind of is. You know, it feels like a traditional game where first you starting off, you're learning what the cards do, you recognize the characters, it's fun learning like how you can just kind of send a nuke and kill everyone.
You know what? I don't want this. Die.
Oh, the Cold War is not so cold anymore, and so that's always a hoot. And it goes from that to being able to curate your builds to what you prefer. And it has a ton of builds for like basically every playstyle, which surprisingly includes mine, which is that I don't have a playstyle. I just like having a shit ton of damage and full frontal lasers like Mirza has, and I can literally build that if I want. Izuna counter for all of us. The game's bosses do a good job of letting the builds actually be useful too, with a variety of different properties to the effects, like in Stage 4's boss, or like in Stage 5, for example, how Blue Aya has very little lines where in, let's say you have the little UFO, for example, you can like cut through and make an easy path. And it's these like little moments that feel really good to happen when you do your builds right, and that's what Zuna's going for, I'm sure. He's not afraid to let you feel like completely unstoppable too, which does let us know that he understands what the roguelike genre is all about, so that's handy. No, I think it's so good as like a standalone and cute little roguelike game that I think I could just give this to someone who doesn't know what the hell a Touhou is, and then just let them play on easy, and I think they'd have fun. And I think that's fair too, because honestly, my grandma could beat this game on Lunatic, so I mean, they'll be fine. At the end of the day, Touhou 18's gameplay is literally whatever you want to make it. And for that, it deserves nothing less than S tier. Easy.